Hey guys, Whiskers here. I wanted to come on real quick and give an update on what went wrong on my AT 2022 through hike attempt. Here we go. I just want to come on here first and say thank you for joining my channel again. I've been silent for a long time. And also, I'm wishing the class of 2023 on the Appalachian Trail a heck of a journey, man. I know it's tough, but you guys are doing awesome, the ones that I'm following. I want to apologize in advance for me looking down at some notes, because this is really important to get not only off my chest and just be honest with you guys, with myself, and with the Lord on what happened in my 2022 through hike attempt. The Appalachian Trail itself is very, very, very challenging. Don't kid yourself. Don't kid yourself. I went out there and thought I was prepared, man. I thought I was mentally prepared. I thought I was physically prepared. And I thought I was ready to go. There was no doubt. Me and the Happy Hippie both. We live in Colorado at about 10,000 feet elevation. So most of the pre-hikes we did were at 10,000 to 12,000 feet. One of the big things that I didn't do was backpack enough. I thought I had hiked enough, my legs were good and strong and everything. Well, they were with me just carrying me and a day pack, but they weren't with me carrying a backpack that weighed 30 pounds. I think that I prepared mentally pretty good because as you guys know, if you've been following my channel, I sobered up in 1994 and I had 28 years of sobriety last year, and I'm going on 29 this year, so that hadn't changed. Thank God I didn't start drinking because I got off. But I had a mental attitude of I was going to hike that freaking trail, man. I've had some hard challenges in my life and I've overcome them. And just like I said, I sobered up in 94, and I didn't do that the first time either. I struggled with alcoholism and alcohol for a while, and I finally got it on June the 12th, 1994. June 13th, excuse me. Don't kid yourselves. I don't care where you're at or what you're doing. If you're getting ready to go on this thing, man, I did not backpack enough, meaning carry my full weight of my pack, go out and camp overnight with it for at least a couple days on end, or 4 or 5 days or whatever. But I did not walk around and carry my pack like I should have, that's for sure. That was one of the big things. Okay, so we talked about how tough the trail is, and we've talked about the mental aspect of it. I'm telling you, the physical and mental will either come together and get you, or one will get you, one or the other for sure. The other thing I want to talk about real quick is the gear I chose. I spent well over a year getting ready for the Appalachian Trail and researched tons and tons and tons of gear and watched YouTube and listened to people, and finally you just have to pull the trigger and make your choices. Well, I'm proud to say that my gear turned out pretty good. I didn't have much trouble with my gear. When Debbie and I started off together, Happy Hippie and I, we took a big Agnes HVUL3 tent, and it was awesome for both of us. Sleep system was good. I'll go through all this later in separate videos. I'm going to show you exactly what I took and what I'd change and wouldn't. But of the big three, our packs were good, man. We have the Hopper Light pack. My gear choices were good. It wasn't any type of gear that kicked me off. I got cold out there, but I didn't get cold enough that I didn't have the equipment to overcome that, okay? The other thing, the fourth thing I'm talking about, is my health in general. I was in pretty good shape then. I weighed 212 pounds when I started the trail, and when I got off, I weighed 189 from walking 274.9 miles. But overall, my health was good except for one thing that I really didn't pay attention to that much. I was taking blood pressure medicine for 10,000 feet elevation where I live, okay? So I got out in Georgia, and elevation's only, 4 to 6 to 3 to whatever. The highest point on the trail is 6,000 feet. So that caught up with me over a month, over about 6-week period. So I was taking medicine to bring my blood pressure down, and because I went down in altitude, it was already elevation. It was already dropping on its own. Man, check with your doctor. Make sure you're up to a snuff on your health and your meds and whatever it takes to get you out there, okay? The Happy Hippie and I made it to Amicalola Falls on January the 27th. We stayed overnight in the falls. We got a shuttle ride up to the Springer Mountain parking lot. We backtracked that 1 mile south, slapped that blaze, and kept on going north. Between Springer Mountain and Hawk Shelter was pretty challenging. I think we did make it that to Hawk Shelter, but we were plumb smooth wore out because of the weight on our backs, and we hadn't been backpacking enough, and that really hit hard. We did not take a zero. We didn't stay there but overnight, and we kept on going. But I'm telling you, by the time I got to Gooch Gap, I was really ready. Those that hiked this before, when you get to Gooch, you have to go down probably 3/10 or maybe about 3/10 to get water straight down the hill and then crawl back up. Well, by the time I done that and hiked that day, I was smooth wore out, so we stayed at Gooch Gap. That's when we called our first hostel, and we called old Lucky at Above the Clouds, and he came and got us, and we took a couple zeros there because we were so smooth wore out. And we also slack packed from Gooch back to Woody Gap, and then he took us to Neal Gap, and we slack packed back to Woody Gap to cover that mileage. So we were already feeling I was already feeling the wear and tear on my body just in those first 20-something miles, man. I'm telling you, the trail will teach you, okay? And at that time, my pack was probably like 38 point something pounds. And by the time I left Above the Clouds Hostel, it dropped to 30. So Lucky helped me a bunch going through my pack. I appreciate it, bud. But what I'm going through, and I know I'm kind of rambling, but I'm really not, is that your pack weight and your body, they got to be in tune, man. If they're not in tune, it's gonna wear on you, and you're gonna feel it. So that's one of the things I didn't do. And it was really hard, man. I'm not kidding you. I had tears in my eyes at Gooch Gap just because I was so freaking sore. But I didn't want to be a weenie, man. I'd already built this up. We ended up going from Neal Gap all the way to Hiawassee, which is mile 69 at Dick's Gap. And there we stayed at Around the Bend Hostel. Gordon and Lisa are just awesome people, man. But this is where Deb started really hurting. And she had to get off trail because of her back. Well, we were real close at mile 69 to 78, I think it's 78.1 to the North Carolina border. So we had some friends help her and myself. We helped her slack pack all the way up to the border, so she got to complete all of Georgia, which is awesome. But she got off the trail then, and it was real hard on me. I sent her back home, and we'd planned for this, man. We'd planned, well, if one of us can't make it and the other one wants to keep going, we'll do it. You know, the other one, we'll just, happy deal. But when it really happens, I'm telling you, don't matter how much you plan for it, it's hard. It's very hard. So I decided to keep going. Deb got to where she flew back to Colorado, and I'm going to let her go into that story on another video. But long story short, I took off from Around the Bend Hostel to Franklin, and during that 3-day period, it took me 4 days to do that. I literally wasn't eating worth a hoot, man. I had these cheese crackers, the 6-pack of Little Bitty crackers, and I'd eaten 2 of those. 2 crackers, mind you, in 4 days. And at that time, I was starting to get pretty dizzy, and of course I wasn't eating, but I just couldn't make myself eat. Man, I missed my baby bad. In Franklin, North Carolina, I stayed at Gooder Grove Hostel with those Zen, and Zen took care of me. And I stayed there like 4 or 5 days because I was real dizzy at that point, not knowing that my blood pressure was coming down and I was having trouble there. I wasn't eating very good at all, and I just wasn't sure what was going on. But I sat around there. I went in town and ate, went to Outdoor 76, I stayed there 4 days at least. And then Zen took us up where I'd left off at Y Bald, and I think it's Y. And then we started towards the NOC. Made it to the NOC, pretty good shape. I actually ate during that time period and was in pretty good shape. It wasn't bad. At the NOC, we got another hostel at, I'm saying we, by that time I was hiking with some other people. And we got another hostel at Gorgeous Stays. She slack packed us all the way from the NOC to Fontana. And that was cool. We didn't do that all in one day, but we did it over like a 2 or 3 day period and slack packed all the way there. She then drove us to Fontana, and we started through the Smokies. The Smokies were awesome, and at that time it wasn't that hard. It really wasn't that hard. You have 8 days to get through there. I think we got through in the 8 days. But when I got down to where I was getting off out of the Smokies, out at Standing Bear Hostel, or Standing Bear Farm, then I'd already passed out like 2 times on the trail, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all, and that was causing my blood pressure, and I didn't even realize it. I should have, in retrospect, I should have been checking my blood pressure, even if I carry my own cup, you know, checker. They sell them at Walgreens and Walmart, and checking my blood pressure throughout this hike, and I'd have known sooner what was going on. But I got down out of the Smokies. We stayed at the Happy Nomad. Jumanji and Sunrise were Jumanji and Sunshine were super people, man, very accommodating. I'd passed out like 2 times on the mountain. Time I got to their hostel, I passed out at least 2 times, maybe 3, while I was there in pretty quick succession. And Sunrise told me, Sunshine, excuse me, told me that if I did it one more time, she's going to take me to urgent care in Asheville. Well, I did it, and she did, and ended up, when I walked in there, my blood pressure was like 78/40, very low, scary low. And they wanted me to go to the hospital, but what ended up happening was they gave me 3 liters of IV, I was dehydrated, got my blood pressure so that it was above 100, and then they let me go. But it was hard in there, man. And I decided right then and there, they also recommended that I don't through hike anymore. So, you know, for 4 or 5 months. So at that time, I was toast, man. I was just literally toast. So I called the Happy Hippie. She rented a car, came out and met me at the Happy Nomad. We went up the trail doing trail magic for about 2 or 3 weeks. And then we went on up to Shenandoah National Park and met some family that had flown out there to be with us on the trail, hiked around a little with them. We drove back home to Colorado. But what actually got me off the trail was my blood pressure, for sure. Physically, it took me down physically. Mentally, I still wanted to go. I was okay with there and just taking a break and getting it back together and going on, but that wasn't meant to be. That wasn't in the cards. Okay, so that's my poor me story, but man, that's from the bottom of my heart. It sucks getting off the trail. It sucked when Debbie left. It sucked when I went out on my own and did it. It sucked when I had to get off the trail. You can go back on my channel and look at my Trails In video and a couple of hers when she got off. But it hurt. It hurt mentally, it hurt physically, it hurt everywhere. That sucked. So what am I changing going forward? Well, one of the things I'm changing is I'm going to get in better physical shape. I thought I was in pretty good shape when I left, but that proved to be wrong. So I know I have to work at getting in better physical shape. I've joined the gym up here, and I'm actually working on my lower body, my legs, and my upper body, my chest area and whatever to get everything stronger, man. I'm actually losing some weight. I'm going to try to get down to like in between 195 and 200 before I go again. When I started out, I was at 212 on the last through hike attempt. I'm backpacking more. I'm going to load my pack up with everything I got and take it out and walk with it. I don't care if it's a mile, if it's 20 miles or 10 miles or whatever. I'm going to backpack more. Actually backpack in, set up, and carry my pack around. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm eating better. I'm making better choices. I'm cutting out a lot of carbohydrates and sugar that make us fat and in the prep stage for sure. Now, when I get on the AT, I choose to eat what I want to eat. And the other thing I'm doing is I'm monitoring my blood pressure. My doctor and I both are. But I'm going to carry me a blood pressure deal and check my blood pressure and know when I need to take my medicine and when I don't. Right now, she's already got me from 40 milligrams a day down to 20 because everything's good. And it's these little details that'll kick your butt, man. It's not the big things. You got the drive, you got the momentum, you got everything in your head to do this. But if everything else ain't working, it ain't going to happen. As far as the Happy Hippie goes, okay, her back's pretty messed up. She's had like 3 injections since she got off the trail, and just had another one recently. And if this don't work, she's probably going to end up having a second back surgery. Her back's probably pretty bad. It needs some attention. So having said that, she probably won't be, in fact, I'm sure she won't be backpacking anymore with me. But she will be hiking with me. She can hike and walk and do all that, but just not backpack. So we're going to make sure we adhere to that. She's going to do her own video here later on in the channel and let you know what happened to her, how she feels about getting off it after completing Georgia and what that did, all her stuff. She'll do a video on that here pretty shortly. But having said that, she is going to support me And when I do go back to the AT, she's going to come out and support me and support who I'm hiking with, like do some trail magic, do some shuttle runs, do some whatever. She's very, very, very supportive. So, going through all that, what's next for Whiskers and the Happy Hippie, okay? Well, I have some things planned. Like I said, I'm not a quitter. I didn't quit when I couldn't sober up. I finally got sober. So I'm not going to quit. I love hiking. We live in Colorado. I love the outdoors, and that's where we're going to be part of it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back through my gear. Now that I've been out there, I know what gear it takes to be out there, especially during the cold part of the year. And I know what I need, what worked, what didn't work. So I'm going to go through my gear individually again and show y'all what I'm taking and what worked, what didn't work. And not very much of it didn't work. I mean, there's a couple things, but more than not, they worked. I plan on getting back on the AT in 2024. I'll be 69. I'll be 70 next year. Whoa. I'll be 70 in 2024 with 30 years of sobriety. So that adds up to 100. So that's a good year to attempt this. Man, I want to add just a couple things real quick. Not only did we go up the trail and do trail magic, we went to trail days and had a great time, man. It was awesome. Glad I got to experience that. You hear me talking about a lot of slack packing in here and hostels right at the beginning, and that's because we were more smooth out. We did what we could and we got done what we could, so that's going to change next time too. And the next time, I'm not going to let my body dictate whether I get off the trail or not, whether it's AT, Colorado, or whatever. I'm going to get my butt in shape and do it right. I'm also going to start the Colorado Trail this year. I'm going to start in Denver and go to Durango late July or early August. Okay, you've heard me ramble enough, man, but I'm an honest guy. If you watch any of my videos, I don't like the BS part, and I for sure don't like the BS part when it comes to life and, you know, calling your own shots and admitting your downfalls and your mistakes and picking up your shoelaces, putting your pants on, doing it again. Because I love hiking, I do. So thank you guys very much for putting up with me, whatever this took, and I just appreciate you. Going forward, you will see more videos on my gear pretty quick. I'm gonna start putting out videos again on my gear, what worked, what didn't work. So please stay with me. And I'm looking forward to the Colorado Trail this year and the AT again next year. Here we go.